to our subject. Because we're pressed for time, I'm going to ask questions afterwards. Prof. Heinz Goddar, again, needs no introduction, especially to this audience. I had an interesting talk to him about what he's proposing, and I think you'll find it fascinating. Heinz.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon again. I know it is difficult after lunch. You are tired, I am tired, but I'll try to make it a little bit entertaining. I think is this better? Can we understand this like this? Because I don't, wait. You have a presentation, I sent it to the organizers at least. It is, everybody has it. I don't follow it. I don't need this. I don't need this at all. But you can read this, and in a condensed form you find the ideas which I'm now developing to you briefly, will not be very long, all there, at least in a nucleus form. What is the problem here? To compulsory licenses, I would like only to add, after we have already heard a lot very good ideas from Malati here, that I am absolutely in favor of compulsory licensing. If a patentee who has a dominant position, that would be an antitrust law event in Europe, and if he closes certain technologies and does not license out, then there must be a compulsory license. And it means for me that at all places of this world, at locally affordable prices, certain things, goods of common interest, must be available. Absolutely, I have no compromise position to offer here. The only thing is, one thing, I don't know whether you followed this. I'm not a farmer, I'm a physicist. I'm not a pharma person. But you have seen in the COVID-19 discussion, probably also here in India, that when somebody came to my friends of BioNTech or CureVac or Moderna or you don't know what, more or less useless drugs, sometimes they are very good, vaccines, they said, oh, a license doesn't help you at all. Also a compulsory license not. Because without additional know-how, you cannot make these vaccines. You need more to know, which is not in the patent. And my advice to my clients always has been that the patents are invalid. They don't give enabling disclosure. So ignore them, just imitate and be happy. On the other hand, it means also, assuming one would consider these patents as valid, then a compulsory license should be also comprising the additional know-how which is necessary, which the patentee did not write into the patent. We have to think about whether compulsory licenses in situations where the patentee himself says, without additional know-how, trade secrets, whatever, which are not in the patent, you can't exercise the patent, then the compulsory license becomes void if it is not also comprising somehow a opening of these trade secrets to somebody who has to exercise the patent. This is de lege ferenda. This is nowhere written, and WIPO, I know Darren Tang is very much in favor of these ideas, sometimes at least in discussions. We have to open this box somewhere. Let's leave compulsory licenses. I would like to talk about second medical use and why it is a scandal from my viewpoint, and many authorities here in India know that I consider it as a scandal. We have a round of consultants of the, or better to say, IP attachés of the EU embassies here in India. We have tried for at least 15 years already to persuade authorities in India that they should change two things. The one thing is that you need a special efficacy if a modification of a patented pharmaceutical should be patented. Otherwise, you can't get it patented. The other thing is that second medical use patents, at least as far as I know, are not possible here in India. And I think this is just against the best interest of Indian industry, particularly of small and medium-sized enterprises. Why am I of this opinion? Because what we did in Jordan in the 95-96 discussion, when also India had to modify its law to make pharmaceuticals patentable, etc. We had a similar problem in Jordan. The whole Jordanian pharma industry is generic, was at that time generic. They are the pharmacy for all of Africa, more or less. And the problem was at that time that they did not know how to get licenses under mailbox patents, whatever, which Big Pharma extended now to Jordan, how to continue their business, etc. And what they did is they concentrated their limited budgets for R&D on modifications, on improvements of patented drugs. Let's say there is an American company with a nice blue pill. You wish to have a license. They would laugh and would say, no, thank you very much. And then you make an improvement of this. And in 3 or 4 cases, certain Jordanian companies have been successful in this modification, and you patent this, and then on a voluntary basis even you can go then. At that time there was not this provision which I'm talking now about, like Article 24.2, the deblocking provision of German Patent Act at least. They went to the Pfizers of this world and wherever, and they happily got by cross-licensing permittance to make the substance. The originator got the permission to make also these improvements. The pipelines in pharma are usually empty, and as you know, nowhere in whole technology fields, whatever, is the influence of patents so, let's call it, price stabilizing as in pharma. In Germany, typically, a certain product which is under patent, let's say it costs 10 euro per package, costs after that, after the patent has expired, maybe 50 cents, maybe if it is expensive, 1 euro. So down to 5 to 10% if the patent is gone. I'm not saying that patents are not necessary. They are necessary to promise to innovators sufficient return over investment. Otherwise, they would not invest into R&D, would not work. Now, what would that mean here in India? The easiest way to improve an existing patented drug, the same is to improve a Mercedes car with 4 wheels where there are no brakes at the wheels, and a much better car would be a car with 4 wheels and brakes at the wheels, much easier to drive and whatsoever. The easiest way is that you improve, of course, what is already patented. And now comes the interesting, by a primary patent, now comes the interesting thing in pharma. The easiest way to find an important improvement of an already patented substance in pharma is to find another medical use, a second medical use. There is something known already to be good against headache, and you find it is good against cancer or for cardiological treatment or whatsoever. Now you patent this, and then certain countries, and Malati has already mentioned this, apparently also in India, we have published even her husband and me on this also in Les Nouvelles somewhere. Now you patent your second medical use. You get a patent on that. Then you are entitled to get a license from the primary patent owner to exercise this improvement-directed patent, but it comes at a price, namely at the price of a cross-license. And that cross-license, according to Article 24.2, for example, of German Patent Act, we have very similar ones in United Kingdom and many other countries. That is not necessarily free. That means there will be, in Germany, for example, a balancing payment, then taking into account the importance of these 2 patents. The one is the one on the primary substance, the other one is on the way to use it for a new indication, and then there can be balancing payments, royalty payments, of course. So this is a deblocking provision, and if you would allow this here in India, by the way, same applies to improvements in a molecular sense or whatsoever. That means not going into these efficacy discussions and whatever you have here in India. Then small and medium-sized companies, companies with not so high research budget, not several billion of I don't know what currency available to do pharmaceutical development, they would concentrate on searching for new indications, would patent them, and would then, in Germany, 24.2 of Patent Act, does not need to be checked then public interest to make this improvement or this improved drug or use it for this improved purpose or whatsoever. That is you are entitled in it. It is no public interest to be checked. If you have an important improvement and you patent it, you are entitled to make it. And if the patentee of the primary patent does not grant you a license under the primary patent, because the new indication still would violate otherwise the primary patent, then there's a cross-license, which is then in a simplified manner a compulsory license, which then leads to the right of both parties to use, to make this improvement. And I would firmly think that this would be to the benefit of pharmaceutical industry, not of the big giants, international ones or Indian ones or Indian. These giants are not easy to find here. But that would help. And that means you could, by way of allowing patenting of second medical use, competitors to get access to the primary patents indirectly in this manner, which I just have described. And I would just plead for this. We have had a lot of discussions at that time with controllers here in India, with authorities, but finally they decided not to do it. The EPO, the European Patent Office, who had for years a strong interest to cooperate with the Indian Patent Office and authorities here, which is at the moment a little bit lukewarm for certain reasons. I would not like to go into this, but maybe that they are not here today is an outflow of these ongoing discussions, and I don't wish, I know what is going on, but I don't wish to comment on this. I was provided, I was asked last week to moderate this European patent package with Campinos, etc. today, but then they withdrew day before yesterday. So that's fine. For me, I'm not angry about this or something. It was good maybe that they did this. Now, the same thing is with this molecular or whatever chemical modifications of known substances, that you improve them, and then you should be able to patent this. There's always the risk, of course, if you patent an improvement of an already patented substance, which is then modified in some manner. Some side effects are avoided, you mix it with some useless vitamin or whatsoever, and get a patent. There is this evergreening fear. And I think this is why the fathers of the Indian patent law in its present form wanted to avoid evergreening by prohibiting easy patenting of, I would call it, improvements. But I think one should differentiate then. Is this an improvement made by the originator who files then and gets patent after patent after patent, thereby perpetuating the very, very profit guaranteeing lifetime of the patent practically? Or is it an independent company? Is it one of these small and medium-sized enterprises? Is it a university? Whatsoever, this is not evergreening. This is getting access to a patented dear patent which everybody wishes to use by patenting an improvement and then getting via cross-licensing the access also to the primary patent. So this is what I think about second medical use patents, what I think about patents improving pharmaceutical substances. It is the same, by the way, also with standard patents in telecommunication or whatsoever. If you wish to use them, improve them. Get a patent on it. In Germany, easy way. You go then to the Federal Patent Court, not to the ordinary court, and request a cross-license with the original one, and there you are. And there's no checking of public interest. This is not necessary at all. If it is an important improvement, then you get a patent, and if you have the patent, you are entitled to use it against a cross-license. This is just what I wanted to contribute. Thank you so much.
Heinz.